and she talking about the Birkin bag. The Birkin bag. Hello. Today, I decided I want to talk about books that have changed my life so far. I'll start off with what started it all. This book right here, Normal Gets You Nowhere by Kelly Catrone. Literally, the first time I read this book was back in high school. I want to say like my junior year, going into my senior year. That summer I read this book, and oh my goodness, this book literally, this book was it's so good. I really wish I had reread it back when I started college, because like some of the stuff like I remembered subconsciously but didn't remember where I got it from. But then other stuff like I totally forgot about, and I really wish I would have read it back then. I have some notes about this book because this book is the book. Okay, so I reread it just last week, and I decided to put some little sticky tabs down on the stuff that like really I really wanted to share. So yeah, which one do I want to start with? Oh yes. Bruh. In this book came out in 2010 or 2011, right? Keep that in mind. It came out in 2010, 2011, one of those years. And she talking about the Birkin bag. The Birkin bag. Back in 2010, 2011. It is 2021 now. And look, literally, let me go to the page because I was like, bruh, this is it's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, let me go find the page. Okay, so I found it. So basically what she was talking about was basically she brought up another little example of when her daughter was like 8 years old, and she gave her daughter allowance, and she gave her daughter the allowance, and then she would make her daughter pay for stuff and basically help teach her daughter how to budget. And so what she said, after one time she went to Justice to buy some little clothes, she told the author, she was like, you know what was really good, mommy? She said afterwards, I didn't have to say thank you to anybody. And she was saying like she didn't have to say thank you for like giving her the money so she could pay for herself. She could just pay for herself. And then she goes to say, I believe that's how our love life should be too. We should be with someone because we truly love them, and our soul wants us to be with them, not because they're going to buy us a great apartment or a Birkin bag. A Birkin bag. Like 2010, 2011. I mean, I know everybody says history repeats itself. At that time, I didn't care about brand name stuff, so I don't know if the Birkin was in back then too. That was the number one trending bag. But when she said that, I was just like, bruh, that is so crazy. Okay, and in chapter 3, so in here it talks about holidays, and literally I forgot, like after this, like I totally saw holidays in a whole new light, and I was just like, you will never catch me just doing something blindly just because society has like brainwashed us to be okay to do it. With this book, I honestly think that no matter where you are in life, this book, there's always some chapter that will pertain to your life now and what you're going through in certain situations. Like literally, this book is what got me out of my comfort zone. This book is what got me to really start dressing the way I wanted to dress, letting my hair be natural, not caring what people thought. Like literally, once I went into high school, my senior year, I was just wearing like whatever I felt like. How my hair was transitioning, it looked crazy, but I had to do it. You know, we all got that beginning weird phase. But this book encouraged me to do that, and ever since, I've totally changed my outlook on life. And I honestly believe, like, whatever you identify as, there's something in this book for you. I promise you that. And another thing that I really liked was how she said on page 77, she was like, we're inclined to repetition, not progression. And that is true. Like, literally, everybody keeps talking about, the whole 2020 situation. Everybody keeps saying, oh, we need everything to go back to normal. I can't wait for everything to go back to normal. Let's take the mask off and be back to normal. Why do we want to go back to something when we should be wanting to improve and progress from that situation? You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. There's been a lot of situations, a lot of stuff going on right now that I feel is, like, really, like, brainwashy. And that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But this book is just beautiful. I don't want to spoil any more stuff, but this book right here, you gotta go get it. It's a really fast read. It's not boring at all. She cusses a lot, so just be aware of that. And she talks about quite a few taboo topics up in here too, but this book is the book. This is the it book right now, forever. Well, to me, this is literally it. At the end of this book, it talks about, passing away. I don't know. I'm not going to say the other word because, how people be about that. But that made me remember this book that I read in my blank. Oh, dang. I'm going to just say that. I'm going to just put the name of the class on the screen. And in that course, we read this book. And it's crazy because Smoke Gets in Your Eyes is actually a song. It's from a song. I don't know. I don't remember when, but it's by some group. And I guess that song had motivated her to talk about this. But the song wasn't talking about, passing away. It was talking about heartbreak. But the heartbreak was so bad that, it made, I don't know what somehow it correlated to Smoke getting in their eyes. Anyway, about this book. So it's about Kaylin Doughty, and it's about her early years when she gets into mortician school. And well, she didn't do mortician school until after she got her first job at the morgue. And she talks about her experience at the morgue, and she talks about her experience with life itself. This book, I ain't gonna lie. Make sure you eat your food, whatever you're gonna eat it first. Wait a good 20, 30 minutes, then read this book, because some of the details is a little gory. Especially if you're like one of those readers who like you could visualize you like to try to visualize the scene that you're reading, because trust me, you're going to want to throw up in certain areas. Not the whole book, but just certain areas. Another video, I really do want to talk about just like this topic in general. I don't know when I'm going to do it because I feel like I kind of want the visuals to be kind of cool. I don't know. It's going to take me a while to make that video, but I'm just going to talk about it in this video. This is the second video I've talked about this book, because it really is just that good. Like, it makes you have a whole different take on that process of, I don't want to say life, because the end of life, the process of the end of life, you know what I'm saying? So this book, and then there was a movie that we had watched during that course, and that movie, after watching that movie and reading this book, like, it really did help. It made me look at the end of life process in a whole new light, and it made me realize, like, this can actually be a beautiful thing. We're just, as a society, brainwashed to think that, it's bad, it's not a good process, we should avoid it at all costs, but it's the inevitable. Literally, passing away is inevitable. Everybody is going to have to. That's the process. That's the circle of life. So everybody's going to get to that end process. Like, instead of trying to hide it, like we also do, well, out here in the U.S., we always hide, that certain group of people because we're scared of facing it head on. That's why we have all these senior living places and all these elderly homes, because nobody wants to really be around, people who are getting to that end of life process. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to talk about this because I don't know what words you're not supposed to say on YouTube and what words you can say. To be honest, you have to build some type of relationship with it, no matter what. Like, the harder you fight it, she says in the book too, the harder you fight this process, the more rough it'll be. Like, the more strenuous it'll be on you once you get to that aspect of life, because you're constantly fighting it. So that's tiring you out, and that's going to bring more pain to you because you're fighting the inevitable. So even if you build this relationship, it doesn't have to be like, oh, we're buddy, we're friends. Like me and, blank, me and our friends. No, it's just like, I know that I'm going to have to face this. Even though I am still kind of scared of it or I don't like it, I know that it's going to come. So we're going to be cordial. At least have a cordial relationship with it. You know what I'm saying? But whole nother video. I'm going to try to get my notes and stuff together, and then I'll figure out how I'm going to do this whole setup for this, because I honestly think, like, this is very important, and everybody really needs to get it in their head that you need to build a better relationship with this aspect of the life process, because if you don't, the end of life is going to be trash for you. You're going to be in a lot of pain if you keep trying to fight it. That's all I'm going to say with that. But this book, on the other hand, this is another book that I have read in a different class. I think I read it in the sociology class, and it was like a medical one, kind of, not really medical, but like it was about health, and stuff like that. So we read this book about Henrietta Lacks and her whole life, what happened with her family, what happened with her body, all that stuff, her cells, how her cells became famous, all this stuff. Literally, it was this, after reading this book, and then we watched a video about, I forgot the author's name, but it's called Medical Apartheid. They were talking about basically the history, the black history of the medical field. And that is one scary topic, but I can't wait to get that book, The Medical Apartheid, because I honestly want to know what happened, because literally us black people in general, especially black women, we definitely still have to deal with a lot of trash doctors, like, who don't take proper care of us. Black women are dying more than any other race when it comes to pregnancy, which makes absolutely no sense. But I'm just glad that I read this, and I now know what I need to what I need to look out for if I do decide to have kids, because, like, literally, it's just ridiculous. If Beyonce and Serena Williams aren't safe, giving birth, and they almost their lives almost ended giving birth to their kids, like, what makes me the exception? You know what I'm saying? So I just think it's best to, gain knowledge on that and to know about this, because literally there's so much stuff in history that they're not telling us about, black history, that we should, as a black community, should be knowing about. And I feel like this book definitely is one of the top must reads, because literally her cells helped a lot during like the developmental years of science and learning about cells themselves, So then these next books literally is by this man and his two sons. Now, to be honest, I can't tell you which ones is from him, which one's from his one son, and which one's from the other son. But literally, these aren't even all of them. My husband has more books over there in his little library section, but I just got these ones. I just brought these ones over because these ones are the ones that I've read so far. And well, right now I'm finishing up this one, which is The Voice of Knowledge. And this one, it's basically telling you that our life is basically based off of lies, and we need to figure out a way to get back to our authentic self. Once we let our ego take a back seat to our life, like, we'll be able to get closer to our authentic self. And yeah, that's what this one's mostly about. A theme that I've seen in literally all of these books. Let me try to hold them all up. Is if you're because I know a lot of it's a really big trend right now, which is everybody doing shadow work and stuff like that. These books will help you with your shadow work, really, literally. Especially the 5 levels of attachment and the actor. Like these. My bad. Sorry. These books literally help, like, with your journey in doing shadow work, because the 5 levels of attachment it basically tells you there's 5 different reasons why certain things in your life trigger you. And once you are able to pinpoint what is triggering you and why it's triggering you, then you'll be able to get over that situation and not let it affect you as much as it has before. And the actor one, what it does is it basically puts the world in a different perspective, because it makes it seem like the world is a stage, right, for a play, and we are the actors. We learned from a young age that we need to act a certain way in certain situations. And so once we figure out, once again, what is making us act a certain way and how to get rid of, like, the ego and stuff like that, we'll be able to get closer to our authentic self and be able to really live our life as our true self. There was another book called if I can, I'm gonna try to put a picture up of the cover, but it was the one about love, right? There's one by him that's about love, and in that book, it's not just for romantic relationships, it's for every relationship you have. You know what I'm saying? And I really love that book because it tells you, like, you're only responsible basically for your half of any relationship that you're in. Once you realize that, whatever that person is doing on their half, and if it's not going, like, if it's clashing with your half, or if you're putting in so much effort and they're barely putting in any, you're not gonna be, like, overwhelmed with feelings about, them not putting in as much as you're putting in. You're just gonna be like, you know what, I'm only responsible for my half. I can't control your side. So if you don't, and it's not saying, like, you kind of they have to conform to you or you have to conform to them. It's more like you have to find somebody who vibes with you. Like, if y'all not on the same vibration, then, you can't force them to change, and you shouldn't force yourself to change just to meet up with their vibrations. You know what I'm saying? And I don't really want to say, like, too much more about it, because that's kind of like a big spoiler right there. But that book literally has changed the way I looked at all of my relationships. Like, if me and a friend is kind of like starting to fall off, I'm not going to get all emotional and be all sad about it and stuff like that, because it served its purpose when it needed to, and now it's just time for us to let go. You know what I'm saying? It's like, not everybody's supposed to be in your life for the rest of your life, and sometimes there's some friends who you thought were going to last longer than what they did, and then they didn't, and it's just like, you can't be upset at yourself, you can't be upset at that person. You just gotta learn from it, realize that, you know, you guys contributed to each other's life. Be grateful for what they brought you and be grateful for what you were able to show them, but it's time to move on, type of thing. I would suggest just getting the whole collection, because literally you're going to be able to do a lot of shadow work. Like, you know, obviously, you know, continue to do your shadow work the way you do it, but at the same time, read these books, because they'll give you a little bit more insight to some certain things. Like, say you have a prompt, right, that you read and you're like, I don't know how to answer this. I still don't know how to explain why my feelings are this way for this situation. If you read one of these books, like, sometimes these books will give you the answer, and then you'll be like, oh, and get that aha moment and just be like, okay, that clicks, it makes sense now. Then you'll be able to answer those harder to answer questions that you've been like kind of putting on hold, you know what I'm saying? The last book that I would suggest, I have not even read this book yet, but I watched her talk on The Breakfast Club, and I really was digging what she was saying. I really liked her ideologies, and so I decided to buy the book, because just from listening to her talk, I felt like I could really learn a lot from her, and she could really help me with learning more about my health. It's called Sacred Woman by Queen Afua. It says A Guide to Healing the Feminine Body, Mind, and Spirit. And so I'm really excited, because I'm all about, you know, going on that. Like, I want to say I'm on my spiritual journey, and I'm just like really on the road to like enlightenment for life, my life, but life around me as well. And I've also like am starting to understand why history is important, and I feel like this book will definitely help me get my body right, so then I'd be more able to connect with my spirit, you know, because right now I feel like there is still kind of a disconnect between the two, and I feel like once I, you know, read these books and figure out like the proper practices that I need to do in order to connect them completely, I feel like I will really be on the path of finding my authentic self, you know. Those are all the books I really wanted to share. I mean, I don't really have any other books. Oh shoot, I almost forgot. Yeah, so with this book, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna like read it, and then once I'm done with it, I might do like a review, or like, yeah, a review, or just talk about my experience after it, you know, I don't know, something like that. But that's not gonna be in a while, because this book is pretty thick. But yeah. Oh, there was one. I keep forgetting, but there's okay. This is the last one for real, for real. This is the last book. It's called Slow Medicine. I literally got this book at the dollar store by Victoria Sweet, and well, I'm not really. I am a biology major, but I'm not into the medical field like that. I'm more into learning more about medicine and medicinal practices, just because I know myself that I have underlying health issues that I'm going to have to deal with in the future that could severely impact my quality of life. So I'd rather learn about stuff that I could help prevent bad, like from, so that I could help prevent from the situation getting worse as I get older, Um, basically, I was just born with an underdeveloped kidney. So basically, if that kidney is bad and then I only have one kidney to function off of, I don't want to mess that kidney up in the end because, once again, looking at the history of black medicine, um, I would probably be stuck on. In my sociology class, I learned like literally black people, if you need a kidney transplant, you will be on that list for a really long time, and you might not even end up getting one because you end up passing from the kidney problems. So I'd rather just prevent it all right now and stay as healthy as I can. So once I get older, that's not a problem that I have to deal with. Okay, this um book's basically talking about slow medicine, like slow medicine, and the way she was describing slow medicine in this book was basically saying how like slow medicine would be more as you go to the doctors, they talk to you first, they do a full body examination, and then they hear what you say you're having problems with. Then they go back, look at the paperwork from your previous medical records, and then try to figure out what the problem is. Whereas she was talking about also her experience with fast medicine and how literally people don't even really do the full body examination anymore. They just go look straight at the papers, and sometimes the machines will tell, oh, you need this much doses for this problem, but they don't even have that problem anymore. But the computer doesn't know that, so all they do is just like, okay, just administer this to them. And it's basically kind of like technology's kind of taking over the medical field, and it's starting to be more like, what did she say? She said something about like health care instead of actual, medical care. And with healthcare, she was saying how like she had went to some meeting and she was talking to the higher up people, and they said that they basically called the doctors the health providers, and the healthcare providers, and the patients, instead of calling them patients, he called them healthcare consumers. And she was like, last time I checked, these people aren't going to the grocery store. Like a consumer is like a person who goes to like store and willingly buys stuff. She was like, these people aren't coming in here like, oh yeah, I'm having kidney problems. Oh, let me just willingly throw this wad of cash at you to give me some dialysis or something. You know what I'm saying? So it's like she was saying these people are literally working class people who are having real like issues with their bodies, and they don't have enough money to afford it, but they have to because they need their body to be able to function in order to get their jobs done. So she's like, how can you be like, basically, how can you be so cold hearted to say somebody is a consumer when they're not really there for pleasure reasons? They're there because it's a necessity that they have. Like, they have to do it. Even if they don't want to get it done, they have to get it done. And then she also talks about other different type of medicinal practices. Like she talked about like Chinese medicine, and then there was some other one, like it was like some lady's name, and she said it was kind of similar to Chinese medicine. And then there was another one which was like some really weird name. But I just like reading stuff like this because it just teaches me more about what to expect if I have to go to the hospital. Like, what should I look out for? What should I, because yeah, at the end of the day, they a lot of medical practitioners, they're really, they're kind of like detached emotionally when it comes to patients. And so literally sometimes they're just there to just prescribe stuff, but sometimes they're not really trying to help you get better. And sometimes it's just like I just don't know how to explain it, cuz that was another thing that I had learned in the, D&D, I'm going to call it D&D, the D&D course, where they're talking about like how quality of life and hospice care and all that stuff. And there was one part when we were talking about when people were basically they were talking about breathing tubes and feeding tubes and stuff like that, and literally like how sometimes the body, you're doing that to keep the body alive, but literally the soul is gone from the body. So you're prolonging, I don't want to say the C word because that seems kind of mean, but like you're prolonging this body that is for, I don't know, for what? Like, okay. I'm just getting a little too into it. I'm getting a little too into that topic right now, and I need to save that for another video. But yeah, like I said, all these books, 10 out of 10, highly recommend. I really do suggest, like, read this book first, and then if you don't want to read all the other ones, and you're ready to learn how to develop that relationship, this is the book, to read. And then, of course, all of Don Miguel, especially if you're into shadow work and you're trying to better yourself, these are the books to do it. Because I forgot which one it was, but it basically, he was also saying like a lot of people only think that like animals can be domesticated, but literally we are domesticated at it. Like once we start going to school, that's when our domestication starts. Like as people, like people are domesticated, literally. Like I know I probably sound crazy, but literally, like once you read these books, there's no going back. There really is no going back. And you're going to want to just learn more about the stuff that they're trying to hide from us, because it just doesn't make sense. We literally, when that one scene where Squidward literally is just like on his bike, then he's doing his little dance class, then he's going back to work. Literally, that is what domestication looks like. Like literally everybody around us who just work this, that, and just going through the motions, that's the result from being like domesticated. And in order for us to really start living life and not just surviving life, we got to gain more knowledge on actual topics that really matter. Like we can't keep letting society like brainwash us and distract us. That's another thing. She talks about how society distracts us through media, and we can't be caring about what celebrities are doing. It doesn't matter, because what are they providing my life? Yes, entertainment, but other than that, I mean, y'all not helping put food on the table. Y'all not providing these resources for me to better my life. So why should I care about what car you're driving? Why should I care about what clothes you're wearing? And a lot of people are really big on designer clothes and all this stuff, but it's just like that could be one of your attachments. That could be one of your attachments, where you're holding on to designer stuff because you feel like, oh, that's what'll get me more seen by everybody, that's what will give me more respect or whatever. But in all actuality, like,
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
It's more about our character, and we really, I don't know, everybody is so stuck into name brand this and being the main character and being this and being that and being the it girl and all that stuff. But it's just like, is that really you? Is that really you? Or are you just doing this because you want to fit in? Domestication. That's domestication right there. Wanting to fit in. Anyway, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say, because I know this video is gonna be super long and I talked too much. I'm trying to get better at, being able to describe things better, but it's gonna take me some time, because I was the awkward black girl. I'm not really good with holding conversations unless it's somebody I'm really like my family or my best friends. But I'm gonna get better at it eventually over time. But yeah, I'm gonna just leave it at that. And I hope y'all have a good rest of your day, night, evening, whatever it is. Oh, there's one last thing. Not a book though. It's not a book. I don't have any more books to recommend for now. But I just wanted to show the little setup. Okay, it's literally the same as my other video when I did my little library tour, my little bookshelf tour. But instead, I didn't do it. Khalil ended up switching it around, and this is the new layout of like the living room. So he just put it, it's a little messy up here, but whatever. He just put it in front of the countertop that's in front of the kitchen. And then where they used to be was right here by this painting. I'm not painting, picture. And he just put Vex and Sandy's little Cajun playpen right there. And then everything else is literally the same. Yeah, I just wanted to show the new setup because I think this is really adorable. Even though we don't really use it that much, I still think it's cute. And I honestly need to get rid of some books so I can make more room on my shelf, because as you can see, I got books on the sides now. Oh, speaking of books on the side, this book my sister made, and it's called Hey Pretty. And it looks like a coloring book, yes, I know, but it's actually her first poetry book that she's gotten published. And I highly recommend that y'all get this book too. I mean, it didn't do nothing to change my life, but to be honest, it kind of gives me the same feeling that I got when I was reading Rupi Kaur's poems, some of her poems, some of them really be touching, my heart. Touch my heart. Anyway, I'll just read one of her poems so you could get a little taste. This one is called Struggle to Be Happy. It's a struggle to let go of comfort, not happiness. Being happy is easy, but comfort and sadness will make it difficult to be happy. Let go of the negativity that stains your idea of happiness. Happiness is a breath of fresh air. It's the end of suffering. It's the end and beginning of every life journey. By my sister, Kaya Thornton. I'll probably put her name down here, Kaya Thornton. Thornton. And what you gotta do is, she's selling them on Amazon. They only $7 and some cents. And you gotta go to the book part of Amazon first. You can't just go into Amazon and then type it in, because it's not gonna pop up. So you go to the book section of Amazon. Then you look up Kaya Thornton, Hey Pretty, and then this should pop up. And yeah. So if you want to support my sister, go ahead, buy her little poetry book that looks like a coloring book. She what happened was, I guess she didn't know about the size stuff, so when she sent it to them to publish it and stuff, they ended up putting it like this. So if she had went back and tried to change the font size and the sizing of the book, it would have just been a whole process for a whole extra process. And so she was just like, you know what, learn from your mistakes. This is going to be her first and last coloring book style poetry book. And then the other one, she's going to actually make it the right size, the right, But yeah. And to be honest, I feel like all these books that I've talked about, you could get them for a good, reasonable price if you go to thriftbooks.com. They probably will have them for a good, cheap, a cheaper price than if you went to Barnes and Nobles and then they be freaking $30, because like that's just ridiculous. The only book that I'm gonna say that I did have to pay a good chunk of money for was this one. And for me, I'm a cheapskate, so a good chunk of money was, I think it was like $11, $15 for this big book. I suggest you get it in the paperback, because the hardcover is like $100 something. So thrift books is where it's at. I haven't really heard anything about thrift books, so I'm gonna continue to get my books from there. And I also go to half price books, but I usually go when I'm back in California. I go to the one in Berkeley. That was the first thrift bookstore that I've been to. There's also a Pegasus Books out there, but I don't really go to that one. There's half price books out here in Arizona too. I think there's like 2 or 3 that I've seen so far. Alright, that's all I have to say. I'm actually really done this time. Sorry for all that talking, but I just had a lot on my mind. I needed to just get this out the way and do my book suggestions and talk about it. Alright, bye.